Welcome to the Spirits, Angels, and Guides Oh My podcast.
Where the supernatural gets real, baby.
Welcome to Spirits, Angels, and Guides Oh My with mediums Tara Diana, and I am Nancy Christine Brady. And we are here to explore the world beyond the veil, from spirit communication and intuitive development to everyday magic and messages from the other side. So we're going to dive in to the unseen and see what spirit has to say today. So to kick things off, Tara, we are going to be talking that we have hit our 100th episode milestone.
Yay! Yay! I just said to Elias just before we got on here, I was like, I cannot imagine us having 100 episodes. What the HE double hockey sticks did we talk about?
I know. And, from like the very early days where we were stepping on each other all the time, talking over each other, trying to figure out what microphones to use, how to build a community around this, thinking it was just two friends signing on to have some fun. Like, that's what we started. We're two friends. We're going to talk. And if anybody listened, it was a bonus. And then here we are 100 episodes later.
I love that. If they listen, it's a bonus. Like, whatever happens, we like to listen to ourselves. So yeah, 100 episodes, 100 things we've talked about, and we played with it. That was, kind of cool. We, holy shit, how did this happen? Comes from a place like, holy shit, I don't like how we're doing this, to holy shit, I liked it this way. You know what I mean? And that was, so if you're watching this and you've been here since the beginning, if you've binge watched, which I've heard a lot of people doing, that is cool.
Or listen, or if you're not on YouTube and you're listening.
Yep, if you've watched or listened or whatever you do, that you've watched us evolve into whatever it is, light humor, talking about the weirdness, the messages, the growth, reflection on how, we have changed and how spirit has helped shape it, though.
Absolutely. And that, it wouldn't be proper if I didn't say, from Tara and the bottom of our hearts, to all the listeners, thank you so much for listening. We've loved how you've engaged with us, how you've shared your messages, you've shared stories, and it's kept us inspired and kept us wanting to do another 100 episodes.
Absolutely. So, in true Spirit, Angels, and Guides fashion, we are celebrating 100 episodes.
Yay!
The only way we know how, babies, by diving into the weird, the wild, and the wonderfully unexplained.
Yes. And we thought we're going to tell you stories about the weird, wild, and wonderfully unexplained that's happened to us, because we tend to share a lot of other stories in this podcast. And so I'm going to start out telling you a story some of our listeners may have heard, but we wanted to pull from everything that wasn't just mediumship. We wanted to pull from ghosts. We wanted to pull from elementals. We wanted to pull from all these really cool genres and say, hey, here's something I experienced. Now, this one's a little bit, some people might think it's out there, but for me, it really demonstrated how deep I was going into working with elemental energies and spirits and the animal work that I do. So one day I was in my office and I heard crying. Tara's laughing because she's heard this story before.
I just waiting for the punchline. One day I was.
So I was sitting in my office and I had this horrible feeling sort of dread and sadness, and I couldn't explain it, Tara. I felt like crying. All I wanted to do was feel like crying. And so I thought, you know what? Get out of your office, go outside, do what you do, get into nature, and you're going to feel a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I got outside, Tara, and I continued to hear the weeping. And it wasn't something that I heard audibly with my ears. It was something my intuition was hearing. Right. So I heard this and I took my dog and we went down a completely different street than we normally walk. And when I was going to turn left, my intuition and guide said, nope, you're going to turn right. And the weeping became louder and louder. And I kid you not, I ended up in front of a 150 foot tall tree. And in the area that I live in, this particular tree was, believe it or not, a weeping willow. Okay.
I am a black man. I am glad that you did say that you were hearing this in your intuitive nature, not like out
Yeah.
loud, because we're about to
Yeah.
get a little deep in the little weirdness. Go ahead.
Yes, we are. And it's a good feel good story in my opinion. So basically, I'm standing in front of this tree and I'm in an area where a lot of houses, the minute they sell, they get torn down and big houses get built back up. But they'll often put that orange mesh fetting,
Yep.
what do you call it?
But
Netting around
yeah,
trees that are going to stay.
yeah.
But in this particular instance, someone was starting to cut this tree down. They were completely flattening the lot. And it
Oh,
was the tree that was crying, Tara. It was the tree I was hearing. And in a split second, my brain had a complete conversation with a tree spirit. And I thought to the trees, 'cause
whoa.
I live in, it was so cool. And I thought to the trees, because you've been to my house, I've got like 350 tall foot pine trees that are in front of my house
Mm-hmm.
and like a big ash tree. And there's one that was really close to my house and it was starting to die. And I kept saying to my husband, "Oh, there's something wrong with this tree. We've got to look after it." And I kid you not, spirit, if I could like slow everything down, the conversation basically went, "They're kicking me out of the tree before I'm done." And my conversation was like, "Well, let me check in with my tree because I know there's a tree back in my yard who needs a tree spirit." And within an instant, all of these beautiful connections and conversations were had between the tree spirit, between the trees in my yard, between my spirit guides and everyone involved. And I brought her home and I said, "Here's a new tree you could live in." And the trees welcomed her and the crying stopped. Now, here's the cool thing. Because when I share stories, my husband is a lot like yours, where he's not necessarily an incredible
Please
believer,
don't
but they
tell people
support
this.
us.
Please don't tell people this.
Please don't tell people this. And so I told him what happened. Same thing. "You're not going to tell people the story." I said, "You mark my words." And literally the next day, the branches that were kind of slightly turning brown were turning green again. The following day, the branches started lifting up. And by day 3, all of those branches were raised up and the tree was green again because it had a new spirit.
Oh my God, I
How
love
cool.
that so much.
Yeah.
I love
It's,
that.
it's a,
And I was just
go
gonna say,
ahead.
of course you would befriend a tree spirit. I mean, let's be for real here. Of course you would
Yeah.
befriend a tree spirit. That's your nature. That's like a deep story though, like of
Yeah.
healing, like and also a real awakening moment. I would think for you, like that is something I don't connect with. Like I don't connect with I have never brought a tree home to another tree and mated them. Like I've never done that. Right? Like that's not how
Yeah.
spirit works with me. So I love these kinds of stories. It's
Well,
part of what endears you to me.
thank you. And it's, but it also, for our listeners, I hope it gives them an understanding that you can be any kind of medium, right? So I work with animals, I work with elementals, I do a lot of that. Tara can flip a switch on and talk to 25 dead people instantly. So, I want you guys to know some of the stuff that you're experiencing out there isn't necessarily weird. It might be wild and it might be wonderful, but DM us, share your stories about that. What have you done with trees and tree energy?
Yeah,
So,
I just think that's so cool that that's how spirit works with you. And
yeah,
like you
it's
said,
very,
we've said it before, I'll say it again, I will die on this hill. All spiritual work comes from the foundation of mediumship, period. You
it
have to
does.
be
It
able to connect.
absolutely does.
To
Yeah.
connect, whether that is with loved ones, ancestral beings, multidimensional beings, nature spirits, trees, you have to be able to connect. That's
Yeah.
it. So who's to
Yeah.
say? You know, I love that. And of
It's,
course it was a weeping willow, poor thing.
I know.
How,
Bless her
how,
little heart.
when you
And
get
she
to
basically, sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
She basically had said she wasn't done. And I don't know if you remember that book from the 70s, The Giving Tree. It was a
That's the
lot
other
like
thing
that.
about you I love. You have like a memory like a freaking sieve.
A sieve
No,
is where
I
it
do not
goes.
remember that.
Okay.
I
I have a
can't
memory like,
remember. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have a vault, not a sieve. A sieve is like a strainer. It goes through the strainer. I have it's a vault. It's weird things I remember. But I
Me
can't
too.
remember what I had for breakfast.
That is weird. That is weird.
Yes,
I
but
love that
it was
though.
very much like that. It was very much like that. Like she wasn't done giving. So it was a pretty cool story. Now you also have a really cool story to share.
So this is funny because it's kind of a little bit, you gave me a segue into it. I do connect to spirit very easily. And when I'm talking about spirit, I'm talking about higher vibrational beings. I'm talking about loved ones on the other side. That is my forte. I've always been
Mhm.
very good at evidential mediumship, just that connection. It just is easy for me. My sister, and I need to say this, is going to dispute this episode. She's going to be like, I don't remember it happening like this. And that's cool, but but I do, and my husband backed me up on it. So I was like, am I delusional? I'm not. I know what I saw. So I'm going to tell you a little story about my papa on my dad's side of the family. They called him Bud. And my dad is a identical twin. He's a mirror image identical twin. So he and Uncle Keith are literally like mirror image, no lie. And so Nana and Papa only had the twins, and that
Mhm.
that family was very close and very tight. So the grandkids we were very close to our grandparents, and my sister was exceptionally close to my grandfather and my grandmother. And when my Nana passed away, Paula became Papa's caregiver. She and bless her soul, she brought him two cats. Immediately, she brought him over two senior cats for him to I guess babysit and keep him busy.
Of course she did.
Right? I was like, oh, everyone was like, you're bringing him cats. Oh, that's a story for another time, people. Um, so Papa got sick. And here's another thing that Nan kind of led into with a segue is that I don't remember what anyone passed away from particularly. It's like with me, if you hit old age, it's natural causes and you go over. I do know Papa was in the hospital, and I do know my kids were little because Mike and I had taken the kids to Red Robin in Metrotown, and we were sitting down, and Mike and Alana were on one side, Ryan and I were on the other side, and I was sitting directly across from Mike, and we were looking at menus. We hadn't ordered yet, and I was looking at the menu, and I kept thinking to myself, who is staring at me? You know, you get that uncomfortable feeling like, okay, someone's
Yeah.
watching me. And if I look up, I'm going to give a dirty look, was the kind of feel like what you looking at? Right. And that's a me thing. Right. So what happened though, is I looked up, and for whatever reason, I basically looked directly at Mike, and standing beside Mike, slightly behind his shoulder, were two figures. Now, they were solid. I couldn't see through them. This was not that kind of spirit, but I knew they were spirit, and I'm looking at them, and they're looking at me. And one is an elderly lady. I would say she was probably in her 70s, and she was dressed very I don't know, matronly, I guess. She it was a very old outfit. It was like a two-piece skirt and jacket kind of suit, but the jacket did right up. It had lapels, and she had her hair done on a very tight bun at the back. And then there was this elderly man. Now he looked much older than she did. And I kept looking at him, and I'm like, you are so familiar. Now, I'm in a restaurant with my family with two spirits staring at me. And so I just literally in my mind's eye, because that's how you can talk to them. You don't have to speak out loud. I said, hey, what's going on? And the woman looked at me and said, you need to call your sister. And I was like, oh. Now, again, that's not a normal kind of message for me, Nan. Spirits don't come in and give me warnings and all these things. That's not how it works with me.
That's a bit daunting, isn't it?
So I was like, okay. And then the man said, Bud is getting ready to go. So I was like, oh my goodness. I knew immediately Papa was in the hospital. To this day, I still don't know why. Papa, tell me. Um, And so I picked up my cell phone, and Mike's staring at me. And I quickly call my sister. She answers the phone, and I'm like, where are you? And she's like, I'm just getting ready to leave Papa at the hospital. And I'm like, you can't go. He's going to cross in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. That's what they said. And I
Wow.
realized as I was talking to Paula that they had said 20 minutes. And Paula said, My sister, bless her soul, she says, "Do I have enough time to go and pay for extra parking?" And I was right. I was like, "Yes, 20 minutes, Paula, 20 minutes." So I hung up the phone. I looked at Mike and I said, "You got to take me to the hospital. Papa's going to cross over." He never questioned one thing. Not one thing, man. So
Nice.
off we went. We went there and we I was there. My sister, he'd already passed. I didn't get there in time, but Paula had been there. I got there next, and then my dad and my uncle came in separately, but came in afterwards. So we were all there quite quickly. But Paula got to be with him, which I felt was so vital to how Paula would be able to cope, and she was so close to him. And afterwards, I was trying to remember how this all went, and I did write it down. And I thought, who the hell were those people? Like I felt like I knew the man. And do you know who it was? And I realized this afterwards. It was his mom, so Papa's mother, who never came over with them from Germany. She abandoned the family and stayed in Germany, abandoned the family. They never heard from her again. They came over as kids, and they never heard from her again. So we didn't talk about her or anything. So we didn't, I mean, Papa was elderly, so obviously she was on the other side. But we wouldn't have never known when she crossed, how she crossed, or anything like that. And then the man, I totally knew who it was. It was Uncle Norman. He died probably about a half a year before Papa, and he was 101. That's his brother.
Wow.
And so these two figures came in, and I've never had anything quite. I had something before that, but never something quite like that where they just came in and they gave me some really good information, powerful information, and they weren't wrong in any way. And I managed to get Paula was going to leave. She was going to leave because her parking was running out. Bless her soul, and she didn't want to get a ticket. And she'd been there all day.
Those moments remind us that love never ends, right? So even though he didn't see his mom, she never stopped
Mm-hmm.
loving him. And she came to get him to take him home.
Isn't that the best thing ever? Like the way you just said that, I was like, you know, here she
Mhm.
was. She was like, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna help Paula, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna help Robert. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, I
So
love that
that brings
too.
us to Nancy, and now we're going to talk about dreams and premonitions and those kinds of things, like seers do.
Yes, and that's kind of like where we wanted to dip our toe into all sorts of different types of stories that people may or may not relate to. And so, you know, when you're developing medium, when you're getting into all of this, sometimes, the clairs develop at different levels. Sometimes dream work is what we do, different things like that. And when I was in high school, like a lot of people, I shut it down because I was busy being in my human, right? So I still was a psychic medium. I just wasn't really chasing it or doing it every day. But it didn't mean that the gift didn't stop. So I remember I kept having these reoccurring dreams about this man, and I knew this person was going to be the love of my life. And every time I'd meet a boyfriend, I'd be like, this isn't him. This isn't him. Yeah.
That's not one
And I
time.
and then fast forward, I literally moved back to a place in Canada called Saskatchewan, and I started working at a pub.
Oh, Saskatchewan.
We have
True.
50%. We
It's
have
just a
50
little place
listeners.
in Canada.
We have 50% listeners in the States, so I really want to be mindful. So
Go
the North,
Texas.
so I moved back to the prairies in Canada and I start working at a pub, and I kid you not, in walks the man who I had been dreaming about for 3 years. And fast forward, he asked me out, and a couple weeks ago we celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. So I had definitely dreamt about him. He was my person. I knew it immediately. We were engaged after 4 months.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
yeah. Yeah.
You go,
It was
sister.
We just knew, we both knew, you know. And then I've had a similar experience with animals. And so those of you who know or have been listening, I have a dog who is just my heart dog. I love her so much, Dory. And the same sort of thing, I started dreaming about this dog. And we had lost a dog who I loved. We had her for years, and we were without a dog for about 6 months or so after she returned home, and just something wasn't right. And I just kept dreaming about this dog and dreaming about this dog. And I literally got on the BCSPCA website. I let my guidance take me there. My soul guides, all my spirit guides, everybody, all the guides were there. We went to the Maple Ridge location of all places. Her picture came up and I went, there you are. Oh my gosh, there you are. And I
Oh,
kid you not,
Dory.
oh, she's so cute. And then I filled an application out and I sent it in. They're like, you haven't met the dog. I'm like, yes, yes, I have. I have met the dog and I'm coming to adopt her. And they were literally like, okay. And so at the time, I was involved with a lot of parrot rescue groups. So I knew one of the people there. And I just said, hey, could you tell me if anything about this dog? And they're like, well, she's resource protective and she doesn't really like other dogs too much. So if she's going to be an only dog, she'll be a great dog for you. I said, okay, great. I'm coming to get her tomorrow. So but I couldn't. I ended up having an event I was going to on the island, but I put in my papers. I basically paid everything so I was going to get her. And we visited each other while I was on the island in dreams. I literally astral traveled and she astral traveled to meet each other. So the cool thing, fast forward, I get back to the mainland. I go to Maple Ridge to get her right away. And all these dogs are sort of playing in a pen and she's standing over her ball protecting it so none of them get it. And she literally like had her back to me, but you see her head come up, her head tilt. She turned around, picked her ball up, walked over to the fence where the gate was, sat down, and I walked up. I'm like, hey, there you are. And she dropped her ball for me. And they were like,
Oh, little resource
oh.
guarder.
Yeah. And the staff was like, okay, she doesn't give her ball to anyone. And I'm like, well, it's okay. I adopted her. We're meant to be together. And they were like, that's really cool. And she recognized me as I was getting out of the car, as I was walking over. So deja vu, I don't know. Traveling seer, I don't know. Take from it what you will, but
I don't do stuff like that. I mean, I do, I guess, but that's such a cool story. And you know, Nan and I share this great love of rescuing animals. I am not a bird person. I'll just say that straight up. Like they give me the heebie-jeebies. I like to look at them from a distance, from a distance.
yes.
But
Yeah.
I've had more rescue dogs in my world than you can. I have 3 right now, so I just you just know when you know, right? You just know.
You do. And you know, you were also given a sort of heads up as well, though, weren't you?
Well, I was given a confirmation. So we're going to go into the story of my mom. So my mom passed away in March of this year, and there's a lot to this. So I'm going to give it in a very kind of short kind of way here. So my mom chose when she was going to go, how she was going to go, and when she was going to go, and so we were all prepared the best way you can be prepared for something like that. And so we knew when she was going. So I booked a tattoo with my girl Mel, and for the next day we were going to go get tattoos. And mine was going to say "Mom," and I do have it here.
So for whoever's listening on
There it
Spotify,
is.
she's showing her forearm. For whoever's listening on
That's what the silence was, people. And I was showing. I got a little mom in nice letters with a heart for the O in red. And so we came back from doing that, and it was, I don't know, you're somber, you're sad. Um, but we had a good time. We had fun getting it done, and we got some extra tattoos while we were there, and so it was a whole day thing. And we came along, and I
Of
dropped her
course you
off.
did.
Of course, yes, it would be very wrong if I only went and got one teeny tiny little tattoo. Just saying. So we came back and I dropped Mel off. Now Mel, she's moved since then, but we used to have to drop her off in the alley of her place because the main street is a major thoroughfare. So we dropped her off. I back out of the driveway or the back alley, whatever, and I'm going up, and all of a sudden I hear this ding 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 ding. And I was like, okay. So I always look at my oil light. My husband is a mechanic, people, and he has trained me. So I went to look at my oil light, and then I was like, that sounds like a seatbelt. So I look at my seatbelt's on. It's like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, okay. So in my car, the sensors for the seats are really sensitive. So if I put a heavy bag on there or my little chipitty sits on there, it can go off. Annoying, but it can go off. So I look over,
Oh,
right? I look over and there's no bag on there, and I knew there wasn't because my purse wasn't that heavy. So I was like, what is going on? So anyway, I'm driving and I'm going up, and it's still going ding, 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 and then it would stop for like 3 seconds, exactly like it would do if you didn't have your seatbelt on.
right.
So I go through, and I live only about like a 5-minute drive from where Mel used to live. So I hit the first light, I hit the second light, still going off, still going off. And then all of a sudden, I just felt this like energy wash over me. And I looked over at the passenger seat and I said, hey, Mom. I just went like that, which is so not me. Hey, Mom. I was like, you made it. You're over there. I really hope you and Ryan had a great reunion. And it stopped, just stopped, and didn't do it again.
Oh, I got goosebumps. That's
Right?
awesome. Yeah.
And the thing about that, the reason I knew it was my mom, Nan, and not Ryan, because my heart and my head always goes to Ryan when something happens. That's got to be
Right.
Ryan. Give me a message, and I will, and I can say this with my full chest, Nan, that I know that not everything is a message. Well, if I want it to be a message from Ryan, I'm going to take it as a message from Ryan, even though it's not. So, but
Right.
I just knew it wasn't Rye. I knew it was Mom, and she gave me this cool message. And then my sister, I called her to tell her about it, and she's like, are you kidding me? What time was this? And so I tell her, and she had gone back to the hospice to make sure that the nurses got the beautiful flowers someone had sent my mom. And
Oh, no.
the vase, she was talking to them. The vase was over on the side of the table, and the vase just moved off the table, fell, and shattered around the same time.
Wow.
Right? I was
Yeah.
like, yes, and this is why we do what we do. We can understand it. So,
You know, and that is such a beautiful reminder that spirit knows exactly where to meet us in the places that we're going to notice, but also that spirit can be in more places than one. You know,
true.
often in a reading, I will have people say, well, but what if dad's only going to see mom and he's not coming to see me? Well, the best part of them being back home is they can be in multiple places at once
Hmm.
and visit everyone at the same time.
Absolutely. And again, just just putting it out there that that is the only time she has come through in a big way like that. That is the only time. And I mean, she's only been gone since March, but usually this is
Yeah.
the time where they come in big ways. And I'm just grateful she gave me. That's all I needed from her too, Nan. I don't need her to come through. I know where she is. I can
Yeah.
talk to her if I wanna.
Yeah.
So that's all I needed. So I love that. So
Oh,
speaking of
beautiful.
spirits, I'm not calling my mom a ghosty, but a spirit. I want to talk,
Yeah.
Nan. I want you to tell the story about ghosts in Baltimore.
Oh, okay. This is a good one. So when I first had my son, and my son's 27, he was about 8 months old, and we went to see his godfather in Baltimore, who was training to be a doctor, a pediatrician. And he was doing his practicum at John Hopkins Hospital there. And he lived in this really cool place. It was down on the water, and the first floors were a hotel, and then the top floors were places you could rent, like apartments.
Okay.
And so we went to see him and we stayed with him, and it was really cool. And one night we made a bunch of margaritas, and we went down and sat on the dock and had our feet hanging over the edge, and we were just watching the tugboats come and go. And I was there. And so his girlfriend was there. I think maybe she might have been his wife at that time. Sorry, Carla, whatever you were at that time. And my husband, myself, and Daryl, and we're sitting there. And I said to everyone, hey, that guy's been standing behind us an awful long time. I wonder what he's doing. It's kind of creepy. And they were like, there's nobody there, Nancy. Like, yeah, no. The guy behind us, he's right there. He's got a newspaper under his arm. He's got one of those old fashioned sort of newspaper boy hats on and a vest.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, Nancy, there's no one there. And I'm like, okay. So we go upstairs, we get ready to do some pub hopping, and they got these really cool row houses there, and then in the bottoms is pubs, so you can go from pub to pub to pub. So I drew a quick picture and I said to Daryl's girlfriend, I said, look, this is who I saw, because I have a background in visual arts and I'm an artist. I can draw pictures. And so she was like, oh, no, that guy wasn't there. I'm like, yes, he was. So we go row hopping. We go pub. And we get to this one place and she goes, Nancy, look at that. I said, what? And above the bar, there's a big 4 foot by 4 foot painting of this guy that I saw.
Oh, gosh.
And I go, huh, yeah, that's the guy I saw. And so the bartender, she waves the bartender over and she goes, hey, who's that guy? And he goes, oh, he owns the pub. And I said, see, I told you. And he goes, he committed suicide last year.
Oh.
And she whips out a piece of paper that I had drawn and she's like, we saw him on the dock.
Oh, now it's a we thing. Now it's a we thing. We saw him.
And I was like, yeah, I saw him down there. And he's like, oh, yeah, people see him all the time. But I can tell you, it became I became sort of the spotlight, because then we started walking from place to place. Do you see anyone here? Do you see anyone here? Please, da. That was kind of entertaining. But with him, it was definitely a residual energy.
You must be psychic, girlfriend. I was just going to ask you. So, did you feel that this was a ghost, or did you feel that this was spirit?
Yeah, no, it was definitely residual energy I got from him after he sort of disappeared. Then I really felt him and I knew he had returned home. I knew he was safely on the other side. I knew he was healing. But he just kept coming back to one of his favorite places, because apparently he used to go get the newspaper, have a coffee, and watch the tugboats come and go.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So that's, again, that's one of the reasons why don't limit your experiences, people. Don't write them off as being weird or strange. It's always beautiful, whatever you're experiencing.
And we can add it to the weird and wild files. Like, we can just add it in there and just be like, because I've got something, Nan, that is similar to you and what you just talked about. This
Okay,
one
let's
is
hear
a
it.
spirit as opposed to a residual energy, though. But where it came out of the blue and the fact that nobody could see this is interesting. So when I had Ryan, I was in the hospital for quite a bit afterwards, about 7 days. He was a little jaundiced, and they wanted to make sure that was all fine. And so when Mike came to pick me up, me and Ryan up to go home, he brought Alana, and this is so typical of my husband. He's like, oh, we need to go to the mall. I need to get socks. Okay. Newborn baby. I'm exhausted. I'm like, now? Right now? He's like, well, we're right down here. Anyway, so there we are. He's got Alana. He's walking with Alana, and Alana would have been about 2, just over 2. So he's walking with Alana, and I'm pushing this newborn baby in a stroller, with C-section and everything. And here we are walking through Capilano Mall in North Vancouver. And we're walking along, and he's like, I'm going to Walmart. And I don't know. I was so tired, Nan. I don't know why I didn't follow him. I don't know where I was going. Either I can't remember, but I know I wasn't going into Walmart with him. Okay?
Right.
So I'm walking along, and I can feel, and again, a lot of my stuff happens because I feel. I'm very much that empath. I feel things. And I look over beside me, and there's this elderly man. And he's dressed in a very nice suit. And he's got like one of those bolero kind of hats on. And he's got a mustache. He had gray hair. And he had a kind of longest mustache, not a handlebar, but close, that came down. And I would say easy 70s, 80s. I find that as I get older, Nan, I don't know if you do this too. I tend to like age people more. Like when they like old used to be 70, now old's like 90.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing.
Oh my God. So anyway, I looked over at him and I thought, damn, you're close to me. Like you are really close to me. But I was so exhausted that my boundaries were down. All my walls, all my protection, not even a thing at that point. And I wasn't truthfully practicing spiritualism the way I do now. So for the most part, I I wasn't practicing all the things I learned down the road. So I look over and I'm like, hi. Because I didn't know what else to say. He was in my space, girlfriend. I thought maybe he's looking at the baby, but he
Right.
was not. He did not look down at Ryan, not one little bit. Cute little bug. Anyway, he looks at me and he says, you have to go tell my daughter I'm here. And I'm like, I beg your pardon? And he turns and he points at the jewelry store, and there was a woman in there. She was talking on the phone. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And he's like, you have to go tell my daughter I'm here.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, no. I knew exactly what was happening at that point. I'd kind of come to my senses. And I was like, no, I am not open for business. This is not how it works. And
Good for you.
even if I was feeling tippity, bippity boppity boo kind of, there was not a hope in HE double hockey sticks that I was marching over there. I am not that Teresa Caputo walking into people's, spaces and being like, your dad's dead and he's with me. That is not my thing. That,
Well, and you know my opinion on showing up and throwing up when it comes to message giving.
right? So I'm
we,
just like,
we're
no.
both the same opinion.
But it was, there's no point in telling Mike about it because Mike's just like, oh, sure, whatever, in one ear, out the other. So, but I always remembered it because the individual, just like I said to you about my great grandmother and great uncle that came through for Papa, they were so solid. And this guy was solid, like solid and then he kind of faded out though. That told me he was residual. So he must have been going around to anyone that could pick up, right? His residual energy would pick up that I could pick up, and then he would say the same thing. That's the way it felt, right?
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
would this is where his daughter worked. This is where he was. This is where his daughter worked. This is where he was. Yeah. It was interesting.
Well, and I find often what happens is I always compare it to, as mediums, we're kind of like a lighthouse, right? With a big light going around,
Yeah.
and spirits are like the moths that are drawn to it because they kind of, oh, the light's on. There's someone there that can be the telephone. I'm going to go talk to them. They're going to help me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like no lie detected there. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. So you know what, Nan? I think I'm gonna end this off. If you don't mind, I want to tell my bear story.
Okay, I love a good bear story.
Okay. And this bear story means a lot to me. Do you remember how we were talking about my mom and how she came through just that once and I didn't ask her to come through and or anything like that. And that's all I needed from her. That is not the way it worked with my son. I
Right.
I don't recall asking for a ton of, we're 2.5 years almost into this, and I don't recall asking for a ton of messages, but I did this really interesting thing. So he passed away June 29th. We had his service July 10th because that was his number, 10, right? And so we had his service. And then we had, and I would never do this again in a million years, but we had a viewing on the 13th. And then Mike and I's anniversary is on the 15th. And we had already rented a space up, and we always go to Whistler for our anniversary. So we decided we were just going to go and get away from everything anyway, right? People can judge, but off we went. And so when we were up there, Mike wanted to do something, I guess, to take our minds off the trauma and the sadness and all that stuff. So we went on. I'm done with doing this kind of stuff. But we went up on the gondola up Whistler Mountain.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it was nice. And so when we were going up, I said, "Oh," I said, "Ryan," I said this out loud, and I'm always careful about Ryan when Mike's around, right? How I talk about him and stuff. And so anyway, I said, "Oh, Ryan, show me a bear." And Mike looks at me and he says, "You know, a fed bear is a dead bear." And I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Well, you don't want." He's so bizarre. Anyway, he goes to me, "Well, you don't want it down in the village." And I said, "Well, I was hoping as we're going up the mountain, a bear would just kind of show up." And I think in my mind's eye, Nancy, I was looking for anything, and truthfully, I was looking because that would be where a bear would show up. You know what I mean? Like there's a very good chance there's going to be a bear walking up that mountain through the bushes. I've seen them before there. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And then I could take that and I could be like, okay, Ryan's with us. It's just something I needed at a human level. And do you remember what I said about, some things aren't messages? That would be something that probably wouldn't have been a message. It would have been me just hoping and knowing that there's a good chance and then buying into it. Does that make sense to you?
It does. Yeah.
Okay. So no bear. We get all the way up there, no bear. We get back down, no bear. Disappointed. I don't think I thought about it again, to be honest with you. I think, it was there, no bear showed up, out of sight, out of mind, whatever. So the next night, it's our last night there, and we always take the dogs out to use the washroom before we go to sleep. And we always stay in the village. Well, we used to anyway. And then we would walk down to, it's like a main road and it's got condos on one side and the restaurants and the hotels and, stuff on the other side and grassy areas. So it's a good place to take your dogs. So we go down there and we're walking along the grass and we're not going too far. And I look up out of the blue. I just look up. I look directly across the street and walking from the condo, so like walking down a sidewalk, is the biggest, blackest bear I have ever laid eyes on. I was like, oh my God. And the dogs weren't reacting. I'm like smacking Mike. I'm like, look, look, look. And this bear man walked out of the condos like he owned them,
Whoa.
came right to the edge of the road, stared directly at Mike and I, then went like this to the left, turned to the right, looked back at us again. My dog's not even noticing, turned around and walked back from where it came from.
Okay, that's totally a sign.
A sign, girl. That is a sign. I was like, sweet Mother of Mary. What? Thank you. I said, I needed that. I needed that. I didn't need that bear on the mountain, even though my mind, my humanness needed that bear on the mountain. I needed the real, when I was least expecting it sign. So I knew.
So you would pay attention. That's awesome.
And I would know with every ounce of my being. What does bear mean again, Nan? I mean, I know what it means to me.
And again, for spirit animals, a lot of it is what it's going to mean to you, right? Comfort, strength, power, determination.
Yeah.
Ability to retreat when needed, but to charge forward absolutely when needed as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was interesting. So we do want to hear your stories, you guys. We do want to hear, I started Touched by Spirit, and I just wanted to gather feel good stories of people connecting. I'm sure I'm going to get some interesting ones, but connecting to spirit and how it really helped them, right? So, I was going to tell the Port Moody train station. You've heard the story 1,000 times. I was going to tell the Port Moody train station, but you know what? I think I'll make a special bonus episode later in November, December, so listeners have something extra to look forward to in our Spirit Lounge membership, people. Spirit Lounge membership, remember that. It's there.
That sounds awesome. And that can draw everyone over to double check it out. Yeah.
Yay!
So at this point, no matter how strange or unbelievable any of these experiences seem, they all connect back to spirit communication and trust.
Trust being the big one. So, you know, the weird has actually strengthened our faith, wouldn't you think? Deepened our understanding of how spirit works with us. Because if it was all like easy, if it was all like explainable, I don't think we would feel it the way we do. We would understand it the way we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, having a sense of community, we talk about the lounge a lot because that's where you can be with like-minded people and you can share those stories that you might go, this might sound crazy. And we're going to go, no, you know what? It doesn't, because you're not alone in this experience. All of us, we've shared some vulnerable stories with you on this episode. And, you know, how many times has Tara and I talked about our husbands going, you're not going to share that story, are you? But we do, because it helps empower the community and anyone listening who's on that development path to go, you know what? It's not weird. It's not strange. It's actually just you trusting and working with spirit.
And you know what? That's what this podcast has always been about, is opening minds, normalizing the mystical, and reminding people that spirit is real, present, and working right along beside us. Like they're with us all the time, even if we don't feel it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So I felt, and I feel Nan's excitement over this. We want to do 100th episode giveaway.
Dun, dun,
Okay?
dun.
Dun dun dun. Let's call it the Spirit Bundle giveaway.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Okay.
That sounds
So
good.
Nan and I have a 100th episode Spirit Bundle giveaway, and I don't know, what should we give away, Nan? A 1 month Spirit Lounge membership.
Yes, and I will give
What else?
away I will give away a spirit animal reading.
Okay, and I will give a meditation. I have some beautiful meditations. I'll give away a meditation.
Okay. So
That's
here's
3
how you
things.
guys are going to enter. That's 3 things in our spirit bundle, and we're excited. This is us celebrating 100th episode. So what we want you to do, yay, is share your favorite episode on your Instagram account and tag us at Spirit Angels Guides. And we're going to put everyone's name into a draw. And then tell us when you're tagging us after that favorite episode, what has this podcast taught you, or what's been your favorite moment? And your name will go in a draw and we will announce the winner. When will we announce the winner, Tara?
We'll announce the winner the next episode.
Okay, that sounds good.
It's our way of saying thank you for being a part of this wild, weird ride.
And we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your stories, your favorite episodes, your
We
moments.
want to hear from you.
Please tell us all of it, and tell us what you'd love to hear future episodes about as well.
Yeah, that would be
So-
very loving.
Right? We love that. We love engaging with you guys. So we just really want to give you a heartfelt thank you for everyone who's trudged through this for 100 episodes, who shared the stories, who supported us, who called us. And it warms our heart every time we hear people go, I just binge listened to your podcast. I didn't think it would make my heart soar that high, Tara, but it does.
It does, especially if you don't know the person,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's not like your regular client going, yeah, I love you. It's like someone you're like, oh, hello, do I know you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's how our community is going to grow. It's how the podcast has evolved with, Spirit's guidance, of course. And this is only the beginning, though. You and I have always felt like this was going to be more and grow, and we were just going to do it easy peasy. We weren't going to make mountains out of molehills with this, and that's what we're doing. We're just going to go easy peasy, but it's going to be more. I can feel it.
Totally. And we've got a ton of cool stuff coming up that you're going to have to keep listening to find out what it is. And some of it might be slightly developmental. Some of it might be strange deep dives, maybe deeper. I really want to go down the UFO in Saskatchewan one, Tara, find out that one. But we're going to have bonus stories. We always have bonus stories in the Spirit Lounge. So please come over there and join us. It's honestly, it's only $20 Canadian a month. And we've got events, we've got collaboration.
Only $20.
Listen, for our American listeners, that's $10? It's so cheap. It's like
We're worth it.
we are, and you're gonna love it. Just come on over.
Whether you've been here since episode 1 or you've just joined us, you're part of our family. We love you. We can't wait to see where the next 100 episodes take us. Thanks for joining us on Spirit Angels and Guides. Oh my. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and share to keep our spiritual conversations flowing, babies. You can reach us on all our platforms at Spirit Essence by Tara Diana and Nancy Christine Brady. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers of spirit. They're always closer than you think.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the wonderfully weird and metaphysical.
If you loved what you heard, don't forget to follow us for more insights and behind the scenes fun.